Greetings, I'm Nawaz Naki and I welcome you to my channel. This would be my attempt at doing comedy at the same time as talking comedy. Just some observations of things I struggle with in my daily existence. Where to start? I guess I'd start with humanity's reactions to things that to me don't matter. The way I look at life is quite simple. We are turned to dust, so why do people form attachments to things that in the end they won't have with them? So they have an emotional attachment to objects, mostly money, and I find that most hilarious because a lot of people hoard their resources instead to use it on their loved ones. It's our truth in society is our society vote for people who take all the money from them, and then every election cycle they keep them voting the same people, and then they're kind of wondering why things stay the same, why everyone's on average income, and yet they vote for the same political parties that don't do anything. So that's one method of madness I've observed in life. Another one is the concept that families, the most dysfunctional families, are families that believe there's nothing wrong with them. All families have some bit of dysfunction in them because they are evolved individuals, and we're all flawed, including myself. So there's often internalized trauma that people often, self-including this bracket, often project. Now, some of this projections, some basis in reality, a lot of it's just in the head. But if there's a common pattern, then you can tell what a person's intention is. So if someone's constantly putting you down, constantly not raising you up, constantly putting walls in your way from your growth, then that's an indication that they're not, that they're sabotaging, or they're somewhat of a minus to your development. Because I look at this as a child and the education system. The education system is designed to be extremely systematic, because you have to ask the teacher when you even have to go to the toilet. You have to raise your hand, so that teaches a child to become very receptive to authority and not to question things. So then people are surprised then when they get older that they're so used to being social conditioned, social programmed, that they're even told to stay in a circle, and they stay in a circle until someone moves, and they move like cattle. So it's amazing how much you can social engineer humanity to a certain extent, that they will accept things that 10 years ago would have been just completely laughed at. But fear is an interesting way to control humanity. It always has been. You can look throughout any government that whose ideology wants to be pushing the masses. They use emotionalism, a fear of something. The fear may be trash, it may be imaginary, but it's a threat nonetheless. But yeah, it's a mixture of me comedy. I started this video saying, this will be a mixture between comedy and talking, and it's totally gone off the rails. And I know it's kind of funny that I'm kind of wearing a balaclava. Parliamentary balaclava. Also, it hurts my eyes. So yeah, I don't expect any of this because might get demonetized, because you have very weird AdSense. It has to be advertiser friendly, and think to myself, what exactly is advertiser friendly? Because there's some videos out on YouTube that, it's funny. I would not think them advertiser friendly, yet they're monetized. So because popular musician or something, or they still have AdSense, so I don't really get it. So I think going to reach not sort of a basis, but I don't know, I went off topic. Yeah, to me, the most cruelest thing you can do to a child is to bring life into the world without being consistent in love. It's the most cruelest thing you can do, because it just creates a vicious cycle. Now, there's two things that can happen to a child that's brought up in a dysfunctional family. They cannot just see the dysfunction and choose to break the cycle and not continue on the cycle, and therefore have children continue the cycle. Because the most dumbest thing as a species we do is this thing that because you have children, therefore you should have children just because you were brought into existence, unless there's nurturing or growth. And if you love money, if you love objects more than love of people, that's a seriously, that's seriously sad. Because at the end of it, everyone, including watching this at the moment, will eventually turn to dust. Now, we're not an atheist, agnostic, or theist. There's one truth anyway, is that we all eventually die. We all turn to dust. We all die. That's one thing that all three of them would agree on. Now, I'm neither. I at one stage of my life was a theist, an atheist, and agnostic. Now, I don't tell people which one I am because it's more fun for them to guess. But one stage of my life, I was three of them, so I understand their perspectives. But they've kind of focused on the after. They don't focus on the present and don't focus on the commonality they have in each other. All three of them would agree that we all die. Now, the debate whether or not there's existence of there is God or what type of God, and but the most important thing is the time and energy you use now. When not someone being atheist, atheist, agnostic, if they have love in their heart and they genuinely love people and they don't have this attachment to objects and money and resources or status, like they buy a very expensive car because they want to show off, look at me, look at my very expensive Lamborghini or Porsche, Ferrari, I have a whole fleet of these now. You know what driving you them. I have a big joint mansion. So I can vote you singer. Look at my status. Look at who I'm a big billionaire. I have a big mansion. Whoop-de-doo. When you die, it turns to dust. It doesn't matter. You won't believe dogs. So it's funny. Because like the amount of resource, even when it comes to electing politicians, we spend over 35 million euro a year on people just to enslave us. Who don't do nothing to change the system. You could walk. The average job is like €10 an hour. You can walk up to, it would take up to about over 50 years to be able to buy a house out of your income. Now that's if you're extremely rigid at saving. Now this is my own country, but if I go to any other countries, they're probably the same thing. Because you're just living just the belly to survive. Rent is very high in most countries. So even if you are extremely good at managing your money and we're extremely good at that, without any connections, it makes it hard to grow in life. And yeah, even developing life or family, it's hard. Because even the cost of education, the cost of healthcare, and then because if two parents are working full-time jobs, they don't have enough time to bond with their children, therefore they cause a disconnect because they're drained after working. Or they put their child's whole education and upbringing, and they're raised not by the parents but by the state. TV raises them. They interact with TV more than own parents. I am the connector. I like connecting with people. I always will be today, a ton of dust, but people often wonder why I don't like interacting with other people. It's quite simple, really. I'm afraid of them. I'm like people afraid of spiders, people afraid of drowning. I'm literally afraid of people. I'm afraid that in any moment they'll turn each other, and it's usually always some silly thing. They lost something, or their attachment to an object, or an object lost, and then they get angry at their friend because they lost it. It doesn't matter. Why do you have attachment to an object? So what? They lost it. They make mistakes. Like, they didn't do it on purpose. A lot of time it's just you trust them, for them to look after it, but they mightn't, they might have been a lot of things on their mind, and they might have misplaced it. Happens. But the form of attachment on the object more, like people, like when people lose objects nowadays, they have more of a emotional response than if they actually lost a relative. It's true. Oh, it does say kid. Like, it's funny. Like it's they form attachment to objects as if it's part of themselves. And a lot of people not only do this with objects but do it with ideologies. They become attached to the ideology, and becomes a part of themselves. So that when you kind of have to talk with them and you feel a different perspective of the ideology, they take it personally because it's a part of themselves. And same goes with objects. So I find that amusing, but I find how amusing how people react when they're walking. To me, I'm very grateful for the job I have at McDonald's. I look at it this way: my ancestors survived plagues, wars, deaths, in harsh environments. They worked digging, ploughing fields. They did dirty jobs that were very difficult, that this generation won't have any ideas, or even previous generation, how hard it was. to work in their elements, and they didn't, you know. So I exist because of their hard work and determination to survive. So for me to complain about working at McDonald's for 27 hours or more is ridiculous. But it's called self-reflection. I hope a lot of people at work kind of be able to self-reflect that like they exist because of a line of people before them that survived and adapted to environments that are way more harsh and difficult. So they have that in them, and they should see that as an inspiration, an encouragement, take encouragement from it. But they probably don't, because they don't know anything about their ancestors, and it's very important that we do. It's something that we should be taught in school. The resilience, you know, to go through things, and I need to walk, otherwise my dark thoughts get at me, and this is why I love like a joker. I like dark humor. I like making fun of the fact that, you know, I attempt to do things and I laugh at the fact that I failed. I find humor in my pain, and it's one of the reasons why I connect with Robbie Williams, because Robbie Williams was a comedian who took his own life. He tried desperately to connect with humanity and his loved ones, and his own family dynamics was very painful, no matter, because they were very cold. No matter what he did, they didn't give him the affection. And he was a guy that he spent his time making people laugh, having enjoyment from his soul, but inside he was hurt in a deep pain that was stemmed from childhood and developed from teenage adolescence. So comedy was his crutch. Comedy was a way to cope with the deep pain and realization, because many comedians, they're self-aware of the pain of everything around them, but they know they're powerless because they're only one person. They've only a certain amount of time they have. They're stuck with their present where they currently are, and therefore their influence is only a certain extent they can have, and whatever little influence they could have with someone, they could be influenced by 10, 5 other more destructive things that make whatever positive loving influence you have mean nothing, and that's very hard to take on people that have strong love in their souls, and to come to realization of that. And over time their thoughts get at them if they've no way to cope with it. My way of coping is to keep on walking, and it would make life more easier if you have people who can deeply understand you, but unless they're able to process their own pain or their own trauma and able to self-reflect, like seeping any emotional support from them is futile. And that'll be advice I give to anyone, that if you have someone who you open your soul to, and each time it's just hit with a wall, and every time you wanted to express your love and show support and love and it's hit with a wall, it's very hard to take. And then what happens, there's more of like destructive cycles and things continue happening, and yet they have someone that they could accept their support, but they refuse, and a lot of it has to do with their own upbringing, or this gun-ho kind of stupidity of humanity, of everyone has to do everything by themselves, which to me is the most dumbest thing I've ever heard of. It's like, I do my own thing, I can do it, no, I don't need help, everyone do their own thing, do. It's deeply frustrating, and then people wonder what it was dysfunctional, and why people, when they're at their hardest, like when they need help, there's none there, because they have this mindset, no, you handle your own thing, oh, that family handles that family handles that, that community handles that community handles that, and then there's a bloody disconnection, and then people wonder why there's lack of social cohesion and trust. So yeah, it's just my attempt at doing a bit of mixture of bringing my thoughts and comedy out, but it's amazing how people react on things like especially on food, because I work at McDonald's, but it's kind of funny that, you know, how people form attachment if they don't get the right order. Now, if I was like in a shop and I didn't get the right order, I've done this. I never felt comfortable, even if they gave me the wrong food. I never went back and asked like for a different one. I just my time is most precious to me. They make mistakes, that's okay. I'm not gonna go back and get like and spend another 25 seconds of my life force trying to get something back, you know, it's because it's the wrong order, because money can come back. It's like when I die, it's turned to dust, so that amount of energy I'm using just to get something, I understand they might be rushed and they might have made a wrong mistake. It's not the end of everything. Like there's more higher priorities. Same with buying things. I don't return something unless it's broken and it was broken in the first place. It's different than if you order something and got your wrong menu and you don't go back, and if it keeps on happening over and over again to the same place, don't go back to the same place. It's that simple. There's an instance there where a person came back, a customer, and he said, this is the third time like you didn't give me the right Mac burger. I demand you not to do this again, Mac burger. In the back of my mind I'm going, seriously, that this is how you choose to use your time and energy to complain about not getting a processed thing that's not even good for you. I find humanity funny though, but it's just like, this is a third time, this is a third time. People, and what's funny thing about it as well is that, like, my ancestors, like, they used to eat off fucking logs. They used to eat off, sorry, I have a custom, sensors. They used to eat, and used to be worms, and used to eat off the plate, and used to eat that. Now people, they might have a little slight little tomato on the table thing, a small bit, and they won't eat. You have to clean it. All these little chips and things, and you have to clean that and then eat. Well, their ancestors would have ate off it. Tables had a bunch of food in there scattered and used to eat off it. They could eat around it. You clean it, because in the cycle of just, and it's amazing how some people, when they finish the food, they nicely put it into a box, so it's nicely done. Some of them actually just want to do it themselves and go to the bin, which is lovely to see. I don't mind either way. I just love clean mess anyway, it's no bother me, but it's just amazing that sometimes, like, people just bomb and you'll think afterwards, okay, it's definitely a child. Nope, wasn't a child. It's the children, you'll be surprised, like, they know this whole chip scatter on the ground. It's actually two grown men. And you swear like a child left it behind, but nope. They made more mess than a child would, which is so funny. It makes me think that there's a lot of, like, people who are just very bad, like, they're just very bad at eating food, like, it makes things, how on earth do you manage, like, to get a chip on the ground? Now, understand as a child plays the food and things, but, like, for an adult or teenager, like, to have, like, crumbs of food scattered everywhere. They're not done of the food, how to eat food. Food go into a mouth, not floor, mouth. I love McDonald's. I love doing the bins and things, but I find it amusing how some of the people I work with, like, it drains them, and a lot of that has to do with the upbringing and why it drains them. It just drains them, and then they don't have energy then to for love, and you know they completely become bitter over time, and work makes them, like, become angry, and work makes them become destructive, and it depends what one does with the resources. Usually what happens is that people develop a huge ego. Look, I'm working, look at me, provide for society, I'm a big person, screw you people who are not working, I'm great, do. And then look down on people going, you don't have a job, you're not computing to society, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, those type of people who then use the resources to control and manipulate people. Look, I did everything for you, I have all these resources, and blah, 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 blah. I really despise those type of humans that use their job as a way to achieve status. Look at me, I have a job, I'm a high-degree human. Your resources and what you develop mean dilly squat. It's how you use your resources that matter. If you use resources as a way to control other people, or use your resources as a way to achieve high status and so that people can vote and think high of you, you're a weak human. That's that simple, you're weak. And I really despise that, really, to be honest with you. Weakness. Humans are weak, that use their resources on themselves, who are selfish, who don't use their resources to grow and develop. They use their resources to control and manipulate others, or use their resources just to feed their own ego. The narcissistic ego, really. You know? At the end of the day, we all die, we all turn to dust. So what is this not using resources for loved ones, you know? You have people out there who would spend more resources on their freaking pets than their own children. regardless of their age, the ones they are raised or brought up with. That's sad. Or because of they're more high priorities when it comes to showing some more obsessed about showing some money, or this mindset, or oh, you do this for me, you to do that for me exactly, and expect to be reciprocated. Humans must understand that not everything, the whole concept of things being reciprocated or 50-50 is ludicrous and stupid. You have one person who naturally has the ability to connect more, that's able to have the willpower more to get things done. You have another person that might not have that because of their own childhood and upbringing. And people fail to see that. And the reason why a lot of friendships fail is because they figure out one crucial thing. Understand the development of why. Before you ever get to know someone, anyone, just a little Wisnacky advice for you. Get to understand what their childhood was like, their upbringing, their family dynamics, or how they view things, and observe how they have emotional responses towards objects. Are they too object attached? Are they too attached to certain ideologies? Yeah, it's a way for you to understand people, and the most important thing of all, their limitations. We all have two limitations because we're mortal. We all die. So number one, the two have to do with time. You're limited about exactly where you are in the physical realm. Exactly, I'm here. I can't be everywhere. I can't be over there. I can't be over there by the chair over there at the same time as here, or across the river, or across the city. I can't be in multiple places at once. I'm currently stuck exactly in the moment. I am stuck in time, and everyone's like that. You ring someone, they might be doing something else. So, you can't, like, they can't bring, if say one person's ringing another person, you have three people ringing them, they have to make a choice of, because, you can't connect with everyone all at once. It's impossible. So that means you have to have a choice of prioritising how you choose to use your time. You're currently stuck where you are, so you can only be in one place time, then you can only have some amount of time you have in the day. So there's two limitations. Now the rest of the limitations are limitations humanity places on themselves. Like the limitations of resources, of how they view resources. Unfortunately, this world is designed to be fixated on resources because you can't do anything without resources, or you can't survive without food because you'll die because you need resources to buy food, or you need resources to buy objects because otherwise you can't get objects. So this whole system is designed around resources and money, and then people become obsessed with it and they hold, oh my god, and then they have this attachment of that's why people become bitter and turn against each other, because like this, I gave you a bio, you give me a bio back, oh no, you didn't give me a bio back, I'm not your friend anymore, you're using me, you're taking advantage of me, because I gave you bios after bios after bios after bios, and you don't give me a bio back. That type of mindset, it's ridiculous, because both these people, we're out on the dust, so why does it matter? Oh, why do you have attachment to a little bio? Oh, it could be anything. It could be €100, €500, €5,000, whatever. You give to someone else, and people expect something in return, and then they feel pressure because society tells them that, or they should then give you something back, and should be reciprocated. No, we're out on dust. You make your choices. What's funny, you could have €5,000. Someone pins €5,000 on themselves. Society doesn't buy an eyelid because everyone believes that everyone should just buy stuff for themselves, which to me is the most selfish in the society and of a species. Or you use 5,000 to help other people grow and help them in life, If you have the resources, you use it to help others. You don't hold on to resources, and then when you die, it's still there in the frickin' bank getting dust. What then? You wait until your children are 50 and 50, and by then, But what makes it worse is the fact that people vote for politicians, vote for political parties that for decades don't do anything. They don't do anything. And then they have little posters up with the smiley faces go, vote for me while I screw up my people. Vote number 1, me, so I can screw up you, take all your money, and then go on the holidays with your money. I get paid a lot of money, I get a pension and everything. Vote number 1, me, I won't do anything. I say I do stuff for you, and I might do little snippets of things so that, to help you in small ways, and then you'll vote for me constantly and vote for my party constantly, while the other 10 policies that I do make that one thing obsolete. Politics summed up by the Wisnacky. That's why I hate politicians. to me they're like snakes and Irismen that, you know, they're offering the solution to something, but it isn't. The biggest scammers. The biggest scammers. It's funny, like you have police forces like telling people to be careful with scammers and things, and yet like every election cycle people are like the biggest scammers on the planet. Anyway, thanks for watching this Wise Naki video.